I was listening to the Call Her Daddy podcast. Oh, man, it's not showing up on here. Oh, part 2. Here we go. Oh, shoot.
Hello, daddies. This podcast is...
But I think that we need to... Good afternoon. Hello, hello. I need to figure out how to play this. So what I thought we could do, I was listening to part 2 of Call Her Daddy with Jamie Lynn, and I want to listen to it with you guys. So we're going to do that real quick. I'm having an extremely stressful day. My contact, I've already changed it once. This eye is like blurry and my eyes are super red. I wish I was high, but I'm not. I don't do that. Not that I'd have to tell you. And you can tell the stress. Like, this is what happens when I'm extremely stressed out. See? No stress? Stress. You get extremely blotchy. So, thank you. You love the hair. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, didn't want to give her the views, but I want to hear her. Yeah. So I listened to part 1. Part 1 is mostly about Jamie Lynn. Part 2 is completely focused on the conservatorship, from what I can tell. Okay, here we go. Why does it just keep playing? I'm going to log out and come back. The other option is to get my iPad. I don't know where it is. Oh, I wonder if I could use my daughter's phone. Okay, let's see. Spotify. Part 2 is out. It just came out. Ooh. You're logged in. Continue to the app. Let's see. Login with Facebook. This was kind of, it's out, yeah. There's no, so I understand that people think that she edited it.
Have you been?
The amount of ads. I don't understand why I have ads on the desktop app.
TikTok is making you feel shitty about yourself.
I will pay the upgrade to not have the ads. Available plans. Spotify, ad-free. Current plan. Okay. Let's see if I can do this one. Perfect. Change plan. Okay. Okay. Let's see if I can play it now.
Hello, daddies.
Why do I keep getting the same ad over and over again?
Hello, everyone. Have you ever... Hello, daddies.
This makes no sense.
Hello, daddies.
This is like so annoying too. The only other way I could do this, sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. Do you think they re-recorded it? I don't. And I don't think they edited it. So let me see. Let me update real quick and see if that helps, and we'll go over some questions real quick. Hello, daddies. I know. Again and again and again and again. Okay, let's see if that helps. I updated. There we go. There we go. Just need to update.
I mean, it was like I was a kid.
I don't need the redo.
A lot of people that come on my show, and you
I'm going to play this
have been
a little bit faster than I'm going to do. Yeah, this is part 2. I've already watched like the first 20 minutes, maybe. I had it on in the back, but too much was jumping out at me. I was like, this absolutely doesn't make sense. This doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to play it and I'm going to tell you my thoughts as we listen to it. This is the Call Her Daddy Part 2 interview with Jamie Lynn. And I know we still need to go over what happened in court yesterday, which was important. And there were some bombshells, including the fact that James Spears, Britney's dad, now his attorney, got into a screaming match with Rosengart and wants to unseal the entire file, including Britney's medical records, which makes no sense. I have my thoughts on that, but for this, I want to like focus on, they went to court yesterday. So let's get into it.
Annihilated on the internet recently. What are the comments you get that are the most hurtful? That I didn't do anything to try to help my sister. I very much did many things. People who say that I didn't support, I have tried and true examples of how I supported. Let's get into it. Okay.
Let's get into it. I'm not covering Ghislaine Maxwell anymore.
February 1st, 2008, your father files for conservatorship over your sister. Meanwhile, in your life, you are a teenager, 4 months away from giving birth. How did you find out that your sister would be put into a conservatorship?
Good question.
I guess, like, just kind of like everybody else, I didn't really know what a conservatorship was or anything. So I didn't know what, I just knew that, like, okay, the family's gonna help my sister do something. I don't know. I just knew that, like, that's all. I knew what y'all knew. Like, I did. After what I went through with my family, the few months
Meanwhile, what she's about to say is here.
Before, I just wasn't really having them in my life at that point in time.
Again, to give context, you had just gone through all of this with your parents basically asking you to abort the baby. You say no. You're away in the cabin. Now you're going to have...
I do want to clarify.
Okay.
No one asked me to abort the baby.
Okay.
This is one of many times where Jamie Lynn in this interview in part 1 and this one, where she's trying to give grace to her mother, her father, other people in her life. The same, in my opinion, she doesn't extend to Britney, but she also says that Britney had no clue that she was pregnant until it came out in a magazine.
Was like, just like...
Yeah, she's about 30.
Not like advocated that I have the baby. And it was almost like all of these things that happened to me afterwards were like ways of hopefully bending my will. If we make it like horrible enough, maybe she'll like change her mind or something.
Oh, and they had secluded Jamie Lynn to the extent after they found out she was pregnant, her parents or whoever had secluded her in a cabin. She says she paid for it because she saw the bill, but they had cut off her ability to access the outside world. She just had a team that she could ask for things from, which sounds a lot like what Britney went through. And it took her a lot. She had to get burner phones to try to get in contact with attorneys to try to emancipate herself before her parents finally gave her the ability to live life on her own terms, so to speak.
You stopped talking to your dad because he was like, hey, fuck you, you're having it, you're not going to do it my way.
Yeah.
Bye. So he's dealing with Britney, your mom was mostly with you, then you go to file for the emancipation, then you don't, but now you've got some of your money, you're trying to figure out your life. Yeah. And all this is happening, and your father files for conservatorship over your sister. Mm-hmm. And so no one really explains it to you.
I don't think I was their favorite person. I don't think they were to call me up and give me a heads up either. Like, I just literally blew up their world again by having a baby. So it's like, I don't think they were wanting to include me.
Based on everything.
There's not a lot that she was going to be able to do as a minor outside the state of California anyway.
You wrote in this book, your father struggled to parent. Mm-hmm. What qualified him to be a fit conservator?
This is important.
I don't know. You'd have to ask the freaking state of California. Yeah. I mean, I didn't make that choice. This was a freaking court system who did. But I will say that I think that you know, I do think that, like, obviously someone found a need for something, but I was like, how am I to say? I mean,
I don't know what makes my father qualified to serve as conservator for Britney, but obviously someone found the need for something. Well, there's a lot of speculation right now that the medical report that was used to justify the conservatorship actually doesn't exist. No one was allowed any information about how it came to be. So no, not really. And it's interesting to me that she had no information about it. None. Had no information about the conservatorship at the time, but also clearly it was needed. Someone found that it was needed. So you don't have any information, but you have an opinion. Interesting take.
That's obviously a legal thing that
Jamie Lynn didn't ask to have her dad be a conservator over Britney. It's weird to blame her for this. I don't blame her for the conservatorship. What I am most interested in is I will give you my thoughts as this goes on. I don't think she has any blame for putting her in the conservatorship. I think it is an interesting way to couch this when you've been in a similar situation with your parents and now you're going on the offense against your sister who's been abused for a period of time.
I had to go through a lot of approval.
You write in the book, on June 23rd, 2021, my sister broke her silence in regard to the oppressive nature of her 2008 conservatorship. You describe the conservatorship as oppressive. When did you come to realize that this setup was infringing on Britney's rights?
You have to understand, since I was 17, she's been in the conservatorship for 13 years. I've never known anything different as an adult.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I've never known anything different as an adult. When did you find out the conservatorship was abusive? I was 17. I didn't know anything. But also, in part one of the interview, Britney and Justin Timberlake were stable parental figures to her, so their breakup really rocked Jamie Lynn's world. I don't know anything different. I don't know my sister ever not being abused as an adult. So, like, how am I supposed to know that that's wrong?
So, like, what do I know what's normal and what's not? Like, this seemed to be the way things were.
For Britney, not for Jamie Lynn. Jamie Lynn had a completely normal life where she didn't... Yes, this is part 2. She had a completely normal life when she grew up. Britney didn't.
So for me, she told me she was wanting to... She didn't like the way certain things were happening, so I gave her the number of judges. I talked to her lawyer on the phone, which blew up in my face, and everybody turned against me.
Why?
Because I guess maybe that lawyer wasn't going to get a paycheck if he didn't have a job, so why did he need me fucking infringing on his rights, right?
So when you say that your sister, like, finally was just like, I don't like this setup, like, when exactly?
I think it was, like, for me, she just kind of felt like maybe she didn't want anything to do with any of this shit anymore, you know? And if that's the case, then, like, that's the case.
Totally.
Like, whether I agree with it or not, like, that's her decision. Like, but one particular time we were in Hawaii, we went on this trip together, and we obviously are, like, with our kids there, and we're every night just staying up talking or whatever, and, like, that was really when one of the times I can remember hunkering down with her, and, like, she was expressing things to me, which obviously are her things to express, but into my point of view, it felt like she deserved to have the right to talk to somebody. So I spoke with her lawyer, and I told him a lot of shit, and it went nowhere, and then people got mad at me.
Do you know around when is this? Like, how far into the conservatorship?
Probably can look on, like I don't know, you probably look on Instagram or something. Whenever we went to Hawaii. That was one of the times.
Okay.
Many other times, me and my husband, I do know some judges.
This is so interesting.
And we did have some stuff looked into, and we told my sister many times all she had to do was go live out of state for 6 months, and the conservatorship will be absolved because she'll take residence in another state. I told her this many times.
So, one... I don't care how many judges you know. Ethical judges can't do much outside of give you, well, I have a friend who practices in this area of law. Here's their number. You should call them. Judges do not get involved. They can't give legal advice. They're judges. Sorry. I say like a lot. Oh, or she, I don't know. Maybe. Why is this about Britney? Yeah. Judges, you don't get to go to a judge and be like, hey, I don't like what this other judge did. So, like, can you undo that for me? Also, you don't live in California. So what judges are you talking to? Judges in Louisiana? or Mississippi or whatever the fuck you live. That doesn't make any sense. Also, you talked to lawyers and you gave her legal advice on how to get out, but you were also trapped by your parents in this other place where you couldn't just leave and had to get burner phones to try to get a lawyer to help you get out. It's like she wants to draw parallels when it makes her the victim, but she doesn't want to draw parallels when it makes Britney the victim. To the extent people have agreed that Britney has suffered, Jamie Lynn wants to use that storyline to draw parallels to show that she too has suffered. And I understand that she's coming at this from her own point of view. And this is clearly a very toxic family, extremely toxic. There's not words that could express how toxic I think this father and mother and family is. I completely agree. And she's gone through her own hell. It's almost as if she went to therapy, realized she needed therapy, and was like, I'm going to write a book about this. Because there's nothing, it doesn't sound like anything other than like, I went through shit. We all went through shit. Clearly you went through shit more in the public eye than most other people, but like, welcome to life. It's shit. Probably because it really looks like she suffered at the hands of Britney.
That was my understanding of it. Obviously, I felt like if she spoke with the judge and these different people a bit more, that she could make the decision she wanted to. Because,
mind you, Britney tried at least 3 different times to get attorneys to assist her. 3 different times, and was denied the ability to get an attorney. 3 different times. This information is publicly known now. Publicly known that she was denied the right to hire an attorney that she selected, that the court-appointed attorney was in her case until 2021. She attempted multiple times to remove him and get somebody else that she wanted. So, and assuming that Jamie Lynn has stayed up to date with that information and knows that, she would be aware that at some point Britney tried and it didn't work. But instead she's like, well, she didn't leave. I tried, but like, she just didn't want to.
Because that's a very, and by the way, from my understanding, if you wanted to end it, then that was what I was going to support. So I kept telling her, all you got to do, come live with me. I'm actually in Louisiana. Like, come on. Let's, whatever. And
you think the situation is so dire. This girl who, the sister that you say locked you in a room with a knife and traumatized you, and I understand abuse and that theoretically, if she really looks at Britney as her abuser, she could still have that kind of relationship where she wants to help her out. But a lot of this just doesn't make sense.
I don't know why. I don't know why that option wasn't something that she wanted to follow through with. Well, I get she does have children, so obviously,
right.
But for me, it was like,
one other inconsistency. You don't know why Britney didn't want to follow through with coming and living with you, but you, a person outside of the conservatorship, attempted to get her help, talk to her lawyer, and people got mad at you and you got in a lot of trouble. But you don't understand how Britney can't just up and leave. Yeah, they did extend the conservatorship to Louisiana, Florida, and Hawaii. You're right.
I put myself on the line a couple times with some people that, trying to help her in this situation that she said she needed help in.
I want to address this comment. This whole topic seems really hypocritical from everyone, a lot of victim blaming. Jamie Lynn seems like she is a victim of something. Being a victim does not give you the right to victimize other people. And to the extent Britney is going through public trauma as it relates to her conservatorship, it is extremely notable that her sister now, today, decides to write a book and publicize private, intimate details about her life and Britney's life in order to sell that book.
And it pissed a lot of people off quite a few times. And so I don't know why wouldn't she clarify that? I don't know.
I feel like to the world right now, like nobody knows you ever tried to help her.
Oh no. And by the way, why was I going to go out and like say those kinds of things, like, and then maybe that blow up in my face? I kind of was thinking, like, when I talked to her lawyer, like he would like use this and helpful. This is like he went and told me that I told him that.
So he went and told on you to like your dad and everyone that like the
the things I think that maybe my dad was maybe the face. There's a lot of people behind there.
Yeah.
We rewind that.
Maybe that blow up in my face. I kind of was thinking, like, when I talked to her lawyer, like he would like use this and helpful. This is like he went and told me that I told him that.
So he went and told on you to like your dad and everyone that like the
things I think that maybe my dad was maybe the face. There's a lot of people behind there.
Yeah.
I think it was more like the lawyers and whoever it was, and I was basically like, it all got regurgitated to me, everything I said from the other side.
What's interesting, this is the second time that she's thrown Sam Ingham under the bus. Sam Ingham was Britney Spears' court-appointed lawyer. Sam Ingham was appointed by the court at the beginning of the conservatorship and served until 2021. When documentaries and stories started getting published and released in 2021, late 2021, there was a push to make, and behind the scenes, people confirm this, there was a push to make Sam Ingham the fall guy. And I think it was, That Surprise Witness has an interview with Chloe Milas from CNN. You can go watch That Surprise Witness's YouTube channel. That interview is on there. And there's very clearly this narrative that we want to, it was Sam Ingham's fault. Jamie went to Sam Ingham. Sam Ingham but it wasn't her dad. And she makes that clear. I think my dad was like the face, but it was the people behind my dad. So there's just this like pyramid of people, like, not my dad. Like the people that did this, like clearly were making money off of it and it sucks, but like not my dad. Well, not my mom, not me.
Sad. And I was like, oh my God.
Why have you never said any of this to the critics that are like, wow, you were on the conservatorship, which we'll get to, but it's like, what, like people that are like, you never tried to help her. You're literally sitting here being like, I was looking up things.
I kind of just thought that, like, I never thought that I'd get grouped into this hatefulness because I knew that I'd always tried to help and stuff. So then I was thinking in my head, like, I'm never going to have to speak. I always did the right thing. Like, to me, it was like, why would I have to say anything? Like, she knows it. Like, we know it. Like, why would I have to say anything?
What do you think everyone that's like threatening your life on the internet, like, want you to do?
I think they just want me to not exist. And if I do exist, it needs to be to support, someone else's life. And I think that I can exist and also support, but also protect myself.
I think that what is bothersome for a lot of these critics, there was a period of time where you were...
It's not that she speaks so fast. I've got it at 1.2 speed.
...involved in the conservatorship.
And Wrong. Never involved in the conservatorship. Never, not once. There are legal documents that I can show you, or what the media could responsibly put out there, but they don't give a F about those.
No, let's talk this through though, because people assume that your name was tied into the conservatorship, and so you're guilty. So can you explain why people think you were involved in this conservatorship?
Well, I think because outside of the conservatorship, even if it was you and your sister,
yep.
My sister asked me to oversee a trust if something were to happen to her.
Normal.
So Britney asked you?
Yes. Now, when I was approached by her team of lawyers or whatever, and they were like, well, you have to get a lawyer and do that. I was like, so I did not even follow through with these steps to be a trustee over that will or anything. And that never even had anything to do with the conservatorship.
Yes, it did. So, of course, and she's talked about this multiple times, my sister came to me and asked me to be involved with their trust. Okay. And you said yes. Like, as a sister, I want to help my sister. As a sister, I want to help my sister. I want to make sure that our kids are taken care of. I care so little about it, though, that I'm not even going to follow up. I can't follow up. I'm not. Like, there are details. I had to get, like, a lawyer involved, and, like, that was just too much for me. Like, this doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. Either you say yes and you move forward, or you say no, you got to find somebody else. Solange would never. I love Garage Seat. It doesn't make sense. Also, why would you go to her team? Why would her team be talking to you about this? It doesn't make any sense. Britney comes to you and says, can you oversee my trust? If the conservatorship is not involved at all, there's no need for this to go to a court. Britney says, I want Jamie Lynn to be the unless there is some glaring legal issue that I'm missing, But you say, I want you to be the trustee of my trust if something happens to me. Successor trustee is Jamie Lynn. Jamie Lynn signs off. You're good. You're good. You're good. That's all you got to do. We're good. You're the successor trustee. We're out. No court appearance. Nothing necessary. Why is something necessary for court? Because the conservatorship was involved. Why? Why does that matter? Because you need permission then from the court to transfer funds and do all this funky stuff with, thank you, with a trust when it's not the actual person whose money is in the trust doing all the shit on top. It doesn't make sense. Legally, it doesn't make sense.
So legally, there was nothing ever filed.
Nothing. And I can, like, do I have my phone?
Yes, there was.
This is helpful because on the internet right now, everyone thinks that whatever you're about to explain was...
If this isn't gaslighting, it is memory lapse.
Involvement in the conservatorship, and you had like a hold on some type of something.
And I would like to just read the actual like statement
from
her. From her, her team filed these papers that say Jamie Spears never took the very minimum steps to proceed with any of this.
I'm sorry, her team that you just said would not help her, the team that you went to, that said, that you just said blew everything up in your face, told on you, and made your life hell and you got in trouble. That team filed something that said that you weren't involved. Do we trust the team or do we not trust the team? Like, I wonder if she is able to pull herself out of the narrative that she's telling to see the inconsistencies.
So you were never involved in the conservatorship?
I never had one part in anything ever in Britney's conservatorship or her life at all revolving around the conservatorship. Jamie Lynn Spears was never involved in any capacity in the conservatorship. Legally documented, factually documented by her own team.
Why do people think you were involved in it?
Well, when you're in a conservatorship, everything you do has to be reported to the court. It's like if she buys this or does that, it all has to be reported because the court has to be held accountable for, heaven forbid, the worst happens or something. They are legally the court put her in this. They have to be accountable for everything that goes on under it. During this time, one of the things that happened was my sister asked me if something were to happen to her, would I oversee a trust for her boys? So that means that like if something were to happen to my sister, would I make sure that this was allocated correctly to her boys? I never even became the trustee of this thing, and that is documented by her team. They filed papers.
Do you want to read something from it?
It doesn't make sense because, and I'll have to pull up the documents, but what I pulled last year, it said her as trustee. So that doesn't make sense to me.
In the court approved First Amendment to the SJB Trust in 2018, the SJB Trust modified to have Jamie Lynn Spears appointed as trustee. Petitioner is informed. This is her people's team. And believe.
It says, in the court-approved First Amendment to the trust in 2018, the trust was modified to have Jamie Lynn Spears appointed as trustee. It was modified to appoint Jamie Lynn as trustee and to have the terms of the trust administered in accordance with the separately created under court order Kids and Family Trust. Petitioner is informed and believes that Jamie Lynn never undertook any of the steps to actually become trustee, thereby keeping Mr. Tabak in as trustee until she performed the minimal necessary tasks to become trustee. The way that reads to me as an attorney is you accepted, and she even says this. I said, yeah, I'll be your trustee. Hold that thought, Blanca. I don't know. Blanca said, I'm wondering if Britt even asked her to be trustee. I don't know. But what this says is you took the steps necessary to move forward. You're going to be trustee. You're going to be trustee. And all you need to do, minimal tasks likely means signing a couple documents, shifting it over to you. If your concern is, I want to make sure my sister's kids are taken care of, there's these people that my sister doesn't trust that I think she needs to get out of this situation. People my sister doesn't trust. I'm able to now take hold of at least some of her money to make sure her kids are taken care of. And I really, really care about her. And so I'm going to be their trustee. But I have to get a lawyer and sign some documents. As it states here, minimal necessary tasks. minimal necessary tasks. But like, I don't, like, I have to like do other things. And so like, I didn't. But I was never involved in a conservatorship. Like, it doesn't make sense.
That Lynn Spears never undertook any of these steps to actually become trustee, which I didn't do the minimum task. I just didn't follow through with it. It just didn't feel like something I should do.
There was things on the internet saying that
People are continuing to fuck over my sister, and I have the ability to assist her. I keep telling everybody in these podcasts and interviews, I'm trying to help my sister. I have tangible ability in front of me to help my sister, but like, it just didn't feel like something I should do. So at what point do we, the line I have to draw from that, like real life, right, is like, do I believe you when you say you're trying to help your sister when you have no facts to support that? Or do I believe that like when you are tasked with the most minimal task of being trustee in a trust just to make sure her kids are taken care of, you couldn't even take that on, and you allowed this team that your sister doesn't trust, that you've attempted to get her away from, to handle it? Like, it doesn't make sense.
that for a couple months and then like you were taken off of it. What is that?
Because they petitioned to put me on it.
Got it.
And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. But I didn't really know what I was like. And then when I saw that it was going to be like me approving of I was like, oh no. Like I just said no.
First it was, then they told me I had to get a lawyer, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Now it was that, well, they petitioned to put me on it, and then I found out I had to approve things, and I was like, no.
Oh, I said, I don't want to be a part of it.
So you were going to have to get really involved, and you were like,
I just said, no, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to. These things were filed with the court. Like, why wouldn't anybody report that?
Would you?
No idea if this is true or not, but if she felt like there was something shady going on behind the scenes, and she sees some of that come to fruition, and all of a sudden now, like, it's like, oh crap, my name could be attached to this, I don't think I want involved. That could have happened. I don't know.
What is there a reason you haven't posted it on your social media?
Because I think, like, out of context, people are going to be like, oh, what is this? But I think that, like, obviously now if people come for me, I'm just going to start posting all my text messages and all my stuff. And, like, I'm done taking pictures. Like, here's just receipts. That's it.
Playing devil's advocate, Britney didn't have access to her phone. Jamie, Lynn, you have a platform. People would have listened to you help your sister. Why did you not speak out on social media or to the public when you discovered the conservatorship was oppressive?
As far as I'm concerned, I would message her and I would talk to her, and we had full access to talk to her. I was in contact with her as well as when I put her in contact with the judges and the legal people.
Why does everyone on the internet think that she didn't have a phone?
I don't know, but I know. I mean, she had her phone. I mean, I know that because, like, I would, I was
talk to her.
But there were certain times where I wouldn't understand why, but she would block me or whatever it was, and I felt like I didn't I didn't understand sometimes, like, where or what my position was or how I could be helpful, but also I was dealing with my own dynamics in our relationship.
I didn't know how I could be helpful. She asked me to be trustee. I did. Baby girl, I'm on live. Yes. Sorry. I'm giving you specific ways that you can be helpful. But like
And I was getting to a place where mine and her relationship was becoming a bit more challenging and unhealthy for me, where at some point I had to protect myself too. And like outside of the conservatorship or anything, like mine and her relationship was becoming to a point where I needed to also set boundaries and healthy boundaries with her. But as I've mentioned previously, anytime she told me she wanted help, I gave her the chances and the opportunities and the people to help her. She knows all of that. Why wouldn't she just have clarified that and stopped all of this? That's where I don't understand. But I do know that these are factually true statements and everything. Like, I have to at some point speak for myself, or what? Spend the rest of my life being bullied and there's absolutely no truth to some of these things. Like, I have to speak up for myself the same way I want everyone to speak up for themselves.
Britney post
like Britney is? Because you told Britney to take this offline. I have to speak up for myself. She told Britney to take this offline at the same time she's recording this podcast. Like, it rules for me, but not for thee. Fundamentally, I think that this family has decided internally, and this is just my feeling on this, Britney is different. Britney's different. We can treat Britney's had issues. We could treat her differently. We can hold her to different standards. We can require different things of her, but we get treated the way that we want to get treated. Boundaries for me, but not for you. People can walk all over you. Sorry about the abuse. Really sucks for you. But like, they have divided themselves from her so that when shit happens to Britney, it's like, well, I mean, like, that's life, but like, I need to protect myself. But when Britney comes to you and says, hey, like, one thing you can help me do is become trustee of this trust. And it's like, well, like, I have to like sign a document and like approve stuff. And like, I'm just so busy. You can't have it both ways.
To social media, vague allegations referencing a lack of support from her family and those who should have helped. Everyone assumed she was talking about you. Who did you understand her to be talking about in these posts?
Quite literally, I felt like a lot of them were directed at me at times too, and it made me feel like, why is she doing this to me? And I've messaged her about these things, and then she clarified with me that she was sorry she went on that, rant on social media, and she texted me that she knew I had nothing to do with this and that, she was just taking it out or whatever, but it kind of has continued on, and that feels like I feel a bit helpless. Like, I don't know what else to do except for what I've always done is to continue to love and support her, but
just out of curiosity, did you feel these same feelings for her when her father was going on media tours, or when there were media tours about how Britney's unwell and leaked documents? Her father is now petitioning for unsealing of all of her medical records. He went on in multiple court documents that I read last year, August, September, where it's like, well, she has severe or serious mental illness. If she wants to do it on her own, like, see if she can do it on her own. Like, do you feel like she's being lambasted in legal documents that are binding her ability to leave her home? You're being called out on social media. These are not the same.
Also, like,
bullying on social media isn't okay. Super clear about that. I want to be super clear about that. No one deserves death threats. No one deserves hate mobs thrown against them. No one deserves that. But if we're gonna, it's like she's doing all of these things to me. Do you see what she's been done? What's happened to her? And now it's come out in court documents. Her husband received like $200,000 from the conservatorship one year. So you were involved. You were, like, even if you weren't directly receiving money, which we don't have any information that she wasn't yet, but your family did, your home did.
Respectfully speak up for myself, because I can sit here and allow you to make any choices you want, but do not attack me and my family and expect me to not sit there and say something.
Yeah. In the book, you provide...
Same for Britney. You can't go on tirades against Britney and expect her to sit there and not say anything, right? That doesn't seem fair. And when Britney's called out her dad, now Jamie Lynn's like, well, but it wasn't really my dad. It wasn't really my dad. Your dad has a restraining order against him for Britney's children. What wasn't your dad? You say that he's an alcoholic, abusive person.
A text message that basically clears your name, Jamie Lynn.
Yeah, and I wish that she would share that.
Can you read the text? Can you pull out your phone and read the text?
I mean, why not? I mean, like, what everybody else gets to go on social media and say whatever the F way want. I might as well just actually say something.
Welcome to it.
And you're saying that you have a text from your sister that's clearing.
And like, what breaks my heart is like, we were talking about the kids and stuff, and like, I thought things were cool, and then all of a sudden, like, the next day I wake up to a fucking hate message on social media, and I'm just like, what's going on? I don't get it. Do you understand how traumatizing that is for me? The up and down of like, I think we're cool and we're talking about my kids, and the next day I get like all these threats on social media because you backhandedly said something or made sweeping allegations with the word "the family." Like,
she said, do you realize how traumatizing this is for me, that you say one thing and then do another? How traumatized, Jamie? Maybe she's traumatized by someone privately saying, how are your kids? And then publicly saying, my family hasn't been there for me. Maybe. How much empathy do you have for the person who's saying, I've been sterilized, trapped, abused, forced to make money for other people, forced to go to therapy sessions with people who hurt me? Like, you said one thing and did another. How many people have had that in real life? I've had people do that to me many times. I'm not writing a book about it. I understand that this is a much larger scale. But like, if we're comparing things here, doesn't make sense. And maybe this is just Jamie Lynn's story, right? Maybe I shouldn't compare it. But you cannot expect somebody who has been abused to the extent that Britney has been abused. You, Jamie Lynn, agree that she's been hurt because you say you attempted to help her get out of this situation. But like, she posted something mean on social media.
I don't know what family you're talking about, but I shouldn't be included in that, and you should clarify that, because it's heartbreaking to me to be up and down all the time.
You should clarify you weren't talking about me, but Jamie Lynn won't go on and say Britney deserves to be free. Not until after Britney spoke on June 23rd did she say she wants to like run off into the forest and have like 1 million kids, like, or go live on planet Mars and like get married. Like, she should be able to. That's the first time.
Like, I don't know. I want to support you, but I can also not put mine and my children's lives into the chaos because of one day you're okay with me and the next day you're not. That's in any relationship. There's so many, but I mean, honest to God, like, I felt I was so hurt. It was horrible. You did me others or pressed because I'm trying to. Now I look like bitch, and I was hurt. And I think the most one that she says to me, I know it's not.
She reads through. Let me go back, and I'm gonna slow it down so we can hear it. Because she's like skimming through this text and like reading portions of it out.
I felt I was so hurt. It was horrible.
I felt I was so hurt. It was horrible.
Pressed because I'm trying to. Now I look like a bitch.
Now I look like a bitch.
And I was hurt.
I was hurt.
I think the most one that she says to me, I know it's not your fault, and I'm sorry for being so angry at you. Although I'm your big sister, I need you more than you need me and always have. Which I feel like I've always needed her, but I don't understand how this can be said 1 minute and then the next minute
this is the revolutionary, clears all Jamie Lynn's wrongdoings text. This is it. This is the big bombshell, you guys.
Although I'm your big sister, I need you. And now I look like a bitch, and I was hurt. And I think the most one that she says to me, I know it's not your fault.
I know it's not your fault.
And I'm sorry for being so angry at you.
Sorry for being so angry at you.
Although I'm your big sister, I need you more than you need me and always have.
That's the bombshell. I know you want me to keep listening, and I am, but I'm giving my commentary.
Which I feel like I've always needed her, but I don't understand how this can be said 1 minute and then the next minute I'm like kind of being attacked on social media, but you know, like I just don't understand.
Kind of being attacked.
Why even say this to me?
And when those moments happen on social, like, do you text her and be like, hey, Britt, I'm getting some crazy DMs. Like, can you clarify that that's not about me?
Do I really respond to what her response was to that?
This whole situation of like off camera, do I say it? Do I say it?
My sister, when I told her about me getting all the threats, she said
This is how she's saying.
She never talks about my kids, so what the fuck am I talking about? But I mean, literally, I don't think she cares. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know how to, I mean, that's her message. Like, I told her, I mean, like.
So you're sharing, though, with her that how much this is hurting you. And her responses are just like, well, I'm keeping your kids out of it. But she's also clarifying in text that she knows it's not your fault.
Yeah, and it's, you know, the thing is like, just as confused as everyone else is, I'm just as confused or more confused because I know the truth. She knows the truth. I mean, there's even factually documented truthful events of me not being a part of any of this. And I just think that
what she references as this factual document is a paragraph that says that Jamie Lynn didn't follow through with minimum requirements to become the trustee. That's it.
It's so painful for me to like feel the up and downs of like, she'll message me, she's sorry, and that she knows I had nothing to do with this. And then we'll kind of like, you know, shoot the shit for a minute. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, I don't understand. And then she, you know, won't talk to me for a while. And then I'll get a message that she's sending in stuff to the house. And I'm like, I don't understand.
It's entirely possible, too, that she believes that Jamie Lynn, because she was 17 and pregnant, or 16 and pregnant when this conservatorship came to be, or 17 and just had a child, she knows that Jamie Lynn had no interest or involvement in starting the conservatorship. That can be true. But it could also be true that Britney is sitting there going, I'm trying to get this shit wrapped up. Our father is hurting me in real time, and you're not standing up for me. And that's hurting me. Both of those things could be true.
And so on a whole nother level, what people need to understand is like, this is personally hard for me because this is a person I love who is like effing with my heart a little bit. And now my actual life.
You have this text from your sister. You have these texts that you're showing. And then
she's fucking with my heart.
She unfollows you on Instagram. Why did she unfollow you?
For me,
who the fuck
it
cares?
Felt like, why? Why would you want to give them another story to write about this?
Did you ask her?
No. I can't at this point engage in something that has become so unhealthy for me.
Then why are you writing a book and doing podcast interviews? I can't engage in this. This is engaging. Be Meredith Marks.
And unfortunately, it's come to the point where I have no other fucking option than just to lay out the facts.
Have you ever directly asked
to
defend your name on social media?
I told her to please stop posting, that it is now affecting not only me, but my children. And this was from the very beginning, where it was just like whispers that my daughter would hear her friends say, or like people at school say. And that took me back to my childhood and be like, fuck, no, that's not happening to my kid. No, we're not. So I came at Mama Bear being like, look, you need to stop. And to this day, I still would be there for her in any single way. But I can't be there for you to the point that I'm allowing you to now spin false narratives about me and cause pain and harmful things to me and my children. I'm sure.
Britney was robbed of raising her children. You're worried about a whisper for your child. Protect your child. 100%. Britney was robbed of raising her kids. And you're worried because a situation reminded you of your childhood. And Britney needs to go on and say that you didn't do anything wrong, but you're not going to go on and say that the way that she was harmed is absolutely unconscionable. Again, standard for Jamie Lynn, standard for Britney, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
That in some way or another, everyone will assume that this is a book about Britney, and it's not. It's a book about me and my story. But of course, people just, take the clickbait lines. I can't help that I haven't.
We are 21 minutes into this part 2, which is 43 minutes. This is a fourth of the podcast that we've now talked about Britney's conservatorship.
Experiences with my sister.
Yeah.
Whether she worked at the local grocery store or she was a big Popeye con, I still have experiences I went through with my family.
That's fair.
And I'm allowed to share them, and they should they should matter and they shouldn't be diminished.
There's something towards the end of the book that...
In that same breath, she's saying, I don't want Britney to post about her experiences. Keep that in mind. She just finished saying, I've asked Britney to shut the fuck up because it's hurting me. And then she says, also, these are my experiences and they matter and I need to be able to talk about them. Britney, don't talk about me. I'm going to talk about you. Standards. Kelly Ben-Simone. I'm here. You're here.
To me, summarized your parents and what they put you guys through. And you write, my siblings and I have been traumatized by the distorted vision my parents have of loyalty and success, the impact of exposure and the flip side of fame. No one protected me from the backlash of my sister's struggles or prepared me for what our silence would cost all of us. Why do you think people ignore and refuse to acknowledge that you were raised by the same exact people as Britney Spears? That's your father. That's Britney's father. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, people aren't, or they're acting like you are...
Like, it's okay for that to be her experience, but like I could have the same exact one, but like I don't get any, nobody cares that was my situation too. But what I have to say is that
No. I care. I fucking care. I care if you were abused and you had a hard childhood and you need to express, you got a book deal and you want to write about all of it. I get it. Go for it. Do it. Enjoy. I see the similarities. I see the parallels. It fucking sucks. It sucks for you. It sucks for Britney. It sucks for your brother. It sucks for Lynn to the extent she was abused. It sounds, again, like it's a very toxic, unstable, unwell, horrible relationship. Horrible. You don't then get to tell Britney, you don't get to talk about your horrible experience. I get to talk about mine. You don't get to gaslight us into what we're saying and our concern about somebody who's been abused. And I will say, this matters if it's Britney Spears or if it's Judy Smith down the street. No one should be treated the way Britney was treated. If it's Jamie Lynn or Britney, I think we should all be on the same page. No one should be abused.
Yeah. I mean, we all three have the same parents. That is one thing that we can all agree on.
What is your hope for your family moving forward?
I love my whole family, especially my sister, and I support her no matter what. But I just can't deal in lies. Like, there just has to be some truth out there, and I'm allowed to share it.
This podcast is to all... Yeah.
All right, can you hear me?
This is the newly recorded information, I guess. This is now like a new screen. That interview's over. Different topic. Or different interview setting. Different. Like she's on a screen.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so to everyone that is currently listening, that's been listening to this interview, it is January 18th at 5:14 p.m.
2 days ago.
I am doing now a follow-up interview with Jamie Lynn. You're back in Louisiana. As you know, we met for the first time last Tuesday, and we went over a lot in our two-part interview. But a lot has played out since then. You and your sister have been going back and forth on social media. Have you spoken to your sister since our interview last week?
I've tried to, but unfortunately, no.
And can you clarify? What do you mean by you've tried to and no?
Well, unfortunately, I hated the whole back and forth thing. So I was just like, just call me. You keep doing that.
So what she's saying, so this confirms Jamie Lynn recorded the interview, then went on social media and said, Britney, stop posting everything online. Let's handle this behind the scenes. So she went on Call Her Daddy, or she interviewed with Alex on Call Her Daddy and said all of this shit about Britney exposed text messages, discussed private details about family matters, went on about Britney for 20 minutes of like an hour of the interview. And then publicly said, Britney, we need to stop doing this public back and forth. Just call me. And then the interview starts to air, gets teased out and starts to air. So she's telling Britney, shut the fuck up. Let's deal with this behind the scenes, full well knowing this interview is going to drop in days.
And then I sent her messages, but I've been blocked for a while. And then I also, I did receive some Christmas gifts from her. So I reached out and said, thank you for those. And, you know, I hope she got mine.
Okay.
And, you know, what an odd time to get gifts. But yeah, that's just the facts.
So there are some additional things from our interview that need clarification. Throughout our interview, you repeatedly state that you made numerous attempts to assist your sister in ending her conservatorship. The world is convinced that you didn't do enough for Britney. One example you give in this part 2 is you say that you tried to help your sister and there was a trip to Hawaii. But as I'm listening back, like the story is too vague. It doesn't fully add up. So can you go into greater detail about...
Stories can be vague and add up. It being vague is different than it not adding up. Those are some interesting words, but I agree.
The steps that you took to help your sister and prove why your attempts to free Britney failed.
Also interesting verbiage. Why your attempts to free Britney failed. Your attempts. You tried to free Britney. Those small things are very interesting because that puts a narrative in.
Yeah, well, if you're talking about the one time out of all of them in Hawaii in particular was, I guess it was, I can go back to my Instagram and look when our Hawaii pictures were posted to give you exact dates. But we were there, and during that time, we were able to like really spend some sister time. We didn't have any parents with us. We didn't have just us and the kids. And, you know, she had like obviously her security and an assistant. And so we got a lot of like real sister time that I don't think we'd had in a while. And we talked a lot about a lot of different things. And she expressed to me, you know, she wasn't happy with her situation. And number one, like that's one thing to not be happy with your situation, but you've got to express that to the people around you. So I kind of did a little bit of digging myself as far as calling just some lawyers or people I know at home. After doing that, then I talked to my...
The other part, it said judges. She called judges and got her in contact with judges, which is different than lawyers.
Sister about some information, not only like personal information I thought maybe could be useful to give to her lawyer at the time to help shut down this whole conservatorship. I kind of put myself on the line because like I was sharing details that probably like people would know came from me. You know what I mean? And in doing so, we spoke about it. She said she wanted to do it. So we gave all these facts to her lawyer. And then those same facts were regurgitated to me from the other side of the conservatorship. So I know that he obviously immediately went and told them whatever I said, or any of my efforts were told to the other side of the conservator, and it was shut down immediately. And I just think she needed a new lawyer. Like he was either comfortable or he just wasn't really there for her. You can disagree with what someone says, but his job was to voice it anyways, you know? So
again, there's a narrative that people are trying on the Jamie Spears side of things to blame this on Sam Ingham. I'm not saying he doesn't play a part, but pretending like it was Sam Ingham's job to protect Britney alone, when that's literally what the conservator is supposed to do, is protect the conservatee.
I just felt like she needed new legal representation. That was my overall thing.
When you found out that this lawyer did not act in Britney's interest and try to implement these things you guys came to him with, but instead went to the conservatorship, what did you do?
Well, then I started saying, like, look, there's other options. Like, you can come. Like, this was what I was told. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer. From what I was told, if you have a residence in another state, you can live there for like 6 months or something. You take residence there. And if you don't have a conservatorship in that state, then it makes it to where, like, you can live there and that conservatorship in another state, I think, is like null and void. Now, this could be quoting this wrong, but this is what I understood. And so I told my sister, why don't you just come live in Louisiana or whatever you want to just do that for 6 months. And guess what? It will just dissolve itself. There's nothing anybody can do about that. So that was kind of my next thing. That look, if you're not going to get the help you need, then just take yourself out of it. And so that was my next thing, is kind of pushing for that, as well as trying to connect her with, you know, we know some people around here who could probably help out. And so I put her in connection with them. She did speak to them on the phone a few times. And even like when I wasn't there, like I had connected her daily phone calls. She did speak to them.
That's really vague.
My biggest thing was just pushing for her to just like, if you can't do anything else, just like come home, say you're coming for a week, just stay for 6 months. You know what I mean? Like, or that was the next option I thought was going to probably be the best one. After this experience, I very quickly realized that this lawyer did not seem to be acting in her best interest. So that
people are asking, is that true? My understanding is the conservatorship was extended to Louisiana, Florida, and Hawaii, so that if she went in those areas, she could own property there and it would still be under the conservatorship. I don't think that it's true that if she just moved, pretending logistics were easy to do that, I don't think it's true that she could just move there. Also, they had control over her person and her estate, so they could control where she went. Theoretically, they could physically move her back to California if that was truly the case.
That is when I started obviously telling her, like, campaigning for her to perhaps get a new lawyer, and then trying to get her to come home and find other ways around it because of the 6-month thing where you can live out of state and take residence because she already has residence in other states. And then that way it dissolves the conservatorship.
You say that you told your sister this, and I can already see people will say, no, you didn't. That's a lie. You don't have proof. Do you have proof that you told your sister this information about her lawyer?
Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I do. I mean, I've done it on numerous occasions, but during that time, I kind of sent her a message, and then I also thought maybe I was blocked from her, so I sent it to her boyfriend.
Bringing in different people.
Do you want me to just like read it?
I mean, I think if to clarify, it would be helpful to, if you have proof that you were trying to help your sister out of the conservatorship, I think it would give people more context that, like,
setting this aside too for a moment, we need to go back to the timeline. This was filmed on January 18th, 2 days ago. Less than 48 hours ago, this was filmed. She had received a cease and desist letter. Documents are being filed. There's fee petitions going before the court. Her dad is fighting Britney's lawyer hardcore right now. And she's still trying to prove, like, well, I did pretend you did exactly what you're trying to say you did. Let's all believe her for a moment. You gave her an attorney's information. We now know, the public, that she attempted at least 3 times to get another lawyer and was turned down every single time, saying that she did not have capacity to engage with her own attorney of her own choosing.
Yeah. All right. How far back do you want me to go? I mean, okay, I have this one because this one I know it's like double facts. I sent this to her and I sent it to her boyfriend. So it's like, there's no way that, like, I feel like this didn't go through, even though I didn't get a response.
Can you give us the date and the time that this was sent?
I can send you the screenshots too, but November 11th, 2020, 10:45 p.m. And then I resent it to her boyfriend the next morning. So just to double confirm, November 12th,
she's smiling.
9:47 a.m. This is really bizarre that I'm doing this. Brittany, read important info that you should know because it seems concerning to me. Number 1, I actually put the number 1. Mom and her lawyer.
I'm going to read it. Please read important information that you should know. 1, Mom and her lawyers have been in constant contact with Sam Ingham about everything. And I first found that strange since you and Mom are not even speaking. I did not understand why Mom would be involving herself or inserting her opinion to your lawyer, especially if you did not ask her to. I quickly realized Mom's focus has been on Dad and her personal attack on him. So now Jamie Lynn's inserting herself and saying, it's Mom's fault. And her, instead of on you and what you need, I think she has your lawyer. I think she, Lynn, has your lawyer fighting more for her agenda than yours, and it's only delaying your progress and cost you more money. If Sam tries to deny working with Mom's lawyer or his constant contact with Mom, then we can all get on the phone and I'll be sure he admits the truth because I have read the messages and heard the conversations. How? He also made so many mistakes at this last court date, which is why you were denied once again. But you weren't involved. How do you know all of this information, but you weren't involved? It doesn't make sense.
date, which is why you were denied.
Let me see if there's a second part.
He thinks it's his fan club now. Out of his way to keep his false narrative going.
Which is why you were denied once again. I don't know if he did such a bad job on purpose, but it's strange that the lawyer would leave so many holes in his petition, which made it an easy denial. Again, Jamie Lynn is not an attorney. I'm not saying that what Sam Ingham did was great, but it's interesting that she's attacking Sam Ingham and her mom. He is trying to create an ongoing fight with someone who isn't trying to fight, her father. Because this is when Sam Ingham started saying, hold up, wait a minute. Why are you billing out Britney's estate for Lou Taylor's personal lawyer fees? Why is all of a sudden all of this money? This is when Lou Taylor, I'll go get the date, but this was November of 2020. But the information about TriStar getting a floor of $500,000, despite the fact that Britney was not performing, the accounting would have just been filed. Sam Ingham starting to file objections to the accounting and saying, whoa, why are you spending all of Britney's money on shit that doesn't need to be spent on? And it's clear Sam, he's trying to create an ongoing fight with someone who isn't trying to fight. And it's clear Sam loves the attention he is getting from your public legal battle. And he goes out of his way to keep his false narrative going so that he can continue to put on a show in the courtroom to get all the press he wants from your court dates. And he absolutely loves all the attention he gets from the hashtag Free Britney movement of fans. He thinks it's his fan club now, which is so weird to me. All of this is showing that she's completely aware of the court documents, the filings, the behind the scenes mechanisms for how all of this was going down. Also, I will never forget that time we were in Hawaii and I was trying to help you figure out your conservatorship situation, and you called Sam for his help, and he sat there and listened to us. But as soon as we hung up, he immediately called Dad and said that I needed to be watched because I was trying to take down the conservatorship. He turned on you in a second, which is why I never trusted him. Part 2 says, Dad wants to resign and has for some time now. He put up a pretty big fight.
So that he can continue to put on a show in the I was trying to, which is why I never trusted him. 2.
Dad wants to resign and has for some time now. He would like to quit wasting time and money on all the lying lawyers and be able to directly speak with you to assure no one is speaking for you. And that will make his resignation process go a lot faster because Dad has been aware of the relationship between Mom's lawyers, and Sam. So he just wanted to speak to you himself to make sure everything being said and done by them was truly what you wanted. Is that his concern now? Is that his concern now? He wants to make sure that she gets what she wants? Because she asked him to resign and he said, no. You just release me and pay me all my money and then we'll talk about it. I'm shocked that she's putting this out here. This does not make her look any better. But Sam will not allow Dad to speak with you at all, which only drags out this legal process for you. And that clearly benefits Sam because he gets more money the longer he can keep this going, which is why I believe Sam is supporting Mom and her lawyers, creating more reasons to stay in court over money and other issues that have nothing to do with Dad being removed as conservator of your estate, which I assume is what you're wanting most.
Dad wants to resign. Lawyer. Just keep going.
It's number 3. I actually spoke with Dad and he is more than willing to agree to drop all this extra legal crap. So he has the ability to drop it. Extra lawyers and extra court dates that they keep creating only for you to keep getting denied and letting you down each time. If you're willing to speak with him and start the actual legal process of getting what you want, then Dad's on board with that as well. She's acting as a mediator between the person that Britney sees as her abuser. If you just go talk to your abuser, if you just go talk to the person who did this to you in the first place, if you just go talk to him, we can resolve this. We can resolve this. I have nothing to gain or lose in this situation, no matter what happens with the conservatorship. But I am sick of seeing this whole thing just keep going in circles. Are you sick of it? Does it bore you? Is it your life? Because now you're traumatized by a social media post. But you're sick of seeing this go in circles. So I figured I should see what I could do to help. I'm upset that it's led to me not speaking to mom. But I think it's right for you. It's the right thing for you to do now so that you know everything and aren't constantly being fed bullshit. I have no reason to send this to you other than I love you and I'm trying to be helpful. I'm here if you need anything. Love you.
Circles. So, love you. I'm trying to be helpful. I'm here if you need anything. Love you. Oh, and so that is what I sent to her and to her boyfriend. And yeah, that's it.
And she thinks that shows how well she acted. I'm flabbergasted.
I just feel, I feel bad reading messages. But you know what? That's not anything anybody, like I said those things and there's proof to it. So like I can stand behind it.
Why did you stop talking to your mom?
That was a really hard time. Because I wanted her to...
Why did you stop talking to your mom?
Stop inserting herself in the conservatorship.
Oh my God.
And so...
She stopped talking to her mom because she wanted her mom to stop inserting herself in the conservatorship. Am I going crazy? That's my dog, Thumper.
I didn't understand why we were bringing more people into the conservatorship as opposed to like taking them out. I don't know. But I didn't speak to her, and I thought that I thought maybe that too would like show like Britney like how committed I was to her. Like if she had an issue with her, I was like I wanted to be there. I guess I don't know.
JB Lynn in that text message says, "I know you want Dad out. I know you want Dad out." Watching the Call Her Daddy podcast stuff, I know you want Dad out, but I'm going to show you. I can't.
It's stupid, I guess.
Did the public know that your mom was involved?
Well, my mom she got lawyers recently to try and remove Dad. And that was really complicated because I was like, now you and Dad are fighting each other. And then what about, it just really confused me. Like at the end of the day, like that didn't seem like the right way to go about it to me. It just seemed like then it became a whole nother legal battle. And that was
interesting. Maybe you should watch some of my videos or any other lawyer that's talked about this. It's not that fucking confusing. If you understand enough to send your sister a 4-page text message showing her whose side your dad's on and how he's just trying to help her and your mom's getting involved in a conservatorship, that shouldn't be that confusing to you. You said that you were trying to get her own attorney. So why would your mother inserting herself trying to get Britney her own attorney be any different? It doesn't make much sense, does it?
It was really hurtful to me because I'm just like, oh, now we're fighting in court, It's like, what about the real thing, which is...
It was hurtful to her because her mother was fighting her father in court trying to get Britney a new lawyer. It was hurtful for her. Is this like a baby child syndrome? Is this like the youngest has these kinds of issues? I'm confused.
It's Britney.
So, I think, you reading this text message clarifies a lot, and
This isn't going to make a lot of people very happy that I just read that, but I did. So, there we go.
So, when did your sister, so you start sending these to your sister and she wasn't answering? Do you think she didn't have her phone? Like, why do you think she didn't answer?
She would block me on and off, and for different reasons. I don't really know sometimes. So then I would just send it to her boyfriend or her assistants, and I would just say, for Britney, for Britney.
Could you show, what is the next thing that Britney texted you?
That was sent in, that was the one that I sent about that long one was in November of 2020. And I sent a bunch of other messages in between then. Then the next time that I heard from her was December 8th, 2020.
Okay, there's a bunch of stuff that's on the screen. Let me pull it back up and see if I can read it. November 12th. I've really been digging to figure out how to help you, and I looked into the details of whatever treatment place they put you in that I never knew about. I was able to find out that Sam Ingham, your lawyer, was the one who looked into it, and I believe even toured it and said it was the best place for you to go. I don't know if you even knew that, but I was very surprised by that information. I'm going to keep trying to contact you and help you, even if you never respond.
What did she say?
That word.
Yeah.
You can see all my messages.
Can you read what that says?
So, I'm not sure Mama told you, but I really thought the gift you guys got me was so freaking sweet. Thanks, and miss y'all. And that was because I sent her this big like dress up set up for her birthday, and they went there and they set it up. And at first I didn't hear from her, but I still, I wanted to send her something for her birthday that she knew, like, I'm never going anywhere. I'm still gonna aggravate the hell out of you. And so she did. She thanked me. I mean, it's her birthday, December 2nd.
But so she never acknowledged those texts.
No.
I want the next one-on-one with Jamie Lynn. I want it.
Because
I want her to sit down with me.
Like sometimes she changes her number a bit or whatever. And so this came from the same number.
But you did send it to her boyfriend.
Yes, twice.
So at a certain point, you were fighting against the conservatorship and you were getting iced out by people, you're saying, because you started fighting against it.
I'm basically telling her that, your lawyer's not really doing a great job or whatever.
By the way, all Britney has in this situation, the only thing Britney has is Sam Ingham. That's it. All Britney has that's not fighting against her is Sam Ingham, to a large extent, right? So what Jamie Lynn has continued to show is her systematic planting of seeds of distrust with the only person that Britney should be trusting. While important, there is a video for this one. It's important to remember her father, Jamie Spears, it's now being alleged, was monitoring her cell phone during this entire time and watching all the communication between Sam Ingham and Britney. So her father's watching the communication between Sam Ingham and Britney, relays whatever he wants to Jamie Lynn. Jamie Lynn's inserting herself and feeding back to Britney and planting seeds of distrust. So no fucking wonder Britney doesn't trust anybody, because everybody around her, even if she thought she was doing the right thing, was a horrible situation. Giving her the benefit of the doubt.
In my opinion. And I guess for her, that's probably like, well, then who do I go to? What do I do? So like I could imagine that too. But all I could do was give her the information that I had, and that's what I tried to do. And I just like I don't really know what else that I could do except for things that I did.
Why did you not bring this up in the initial interview?
I'm afraid, like, number one, not only for my personal relationships, but legally, like, I'm talking about things that I didn't know, like, I don't know, I'm afraid of, like, I don't want to get in trouble. So I did speak to my lawyer, and, they said, I'm reading messages I sent, so it's not like I'm making this up. So come for me, like, whatever. Like, I checked it legally, but I'm nervous. Like, I'm still nervous. This sucks. But hey, the truth is the truth, and at the end of the day, like, I don't have any options left. So, like, here's the messages, do whatever, and there's that.
When you gave your answer about the trust and that you did not follow through with signing and becoming the trustee over the trust for Britney's children, it was still vague. Can you explain why you didn't actually go forward with it?
Yes, she checked with legal. This will be an interesting answer.
Well, number one, like, yes, my sister asked me to do that, but I was aware that, like, I didn't really think she was being represented properly by her lawyer. And then also...
Bear in mind, real quick, I just need to remind everybody, Jamie Spears, as conservator for Britney, Britney's lawyers should be double checking everything and acting in her best interests. But it's literally the duty of the conservator. This is turned into like a plaintiff versus defendant. A conservator is not in place to be adversarial to the conservatee. A conservator is supposed to act almost like a parent to the conservatee, watching out, protecting them, doing everything right for them, just being a good person for them, making sure that they have their back. It doesn't make any sense.
Everything she did that time was under the conservatorship. It didn't matter what kind of legal thing was done. So that would mean by me signing something like that, I am doing something under a conservatorship that I don't necessarily trust. So I didn't want to sign anything that connected me to the conservatorship, even with something as like that. I wanted no part of the conservatorship. So even signing a trust for the boys, I did not want to agree to it because it was still under the umbrella of the conservatorship, everything.
In her other part of her interview, she said the trust was completely separate from the conservatorship. They were two completely separate things. The conservatorship, I was asked to be trustee of this trust by my sister, but the conservatorship, that was different. Those are two completely different things. I was never involved with the conservatorship. She follows that up with, then they asked me to like sign some things and then I didn't want to get involved. They said I was going to have to get a lawyer. But then she follows that up with, and I got a lawyer and like we started things, but then they said I have to approve stuff. And at that point I wanted out. So now we have three different things. First, it was I was asked by my sister and I had to get a lawyer and then I backed out. Second, it was I was asked by my sister, I got a lawyer and then I needed to prove things. That's when I pulled out. But both of those times it was under the guise that like, but those are completely separate from the conservatorship. I had nothing to do with the conservatorship. Nothing to do with the conservatorship. The trust is completely separate. Now it's, well, I didn't get involved with the trust because it was related to the conservatorship. Rewind like 20 minutes.
It was.
Where are you at now with like moving forward and how you're going to handle your relationship with your sister and how do you want to handle it?
Well, like I said earlier, like there's two separate things here. There's the relationship I have with me and my sister, and there's this other part where I have the right to defend my name and defend my family, to protect my family.
As does Britney.
And those can be separate, where I'm saying like, y'all don't know what the hell you're talking about. Here are the facts. And you want the truth, here's the truth. And then the separate side is that this is my sister who I know and I love. And when every headline's gone away and everything else is done, I'm still going to be your sister. It doesn't matter. And people need to stop inserting themselves into our situation and egging it on and encouraging it. I mean, I get called.
Anybody see the irony in her getting pissed off at her mom for doing that, but she's doing that with her father and speaking for him?
Everything from like an abuser to a human trafficker. And like, first off, what the hell? And also I've read you the text messages that I've sent. Like, where in that text message do you feel like those kinds of names are appropriate to call me? You should be encouraging healing and something to like really be fixed here, because it's very clear that there are people in pain in this situation. It's apparent that it's not a healthy thing for anyone, yet we're egging it on because we love the shit show.
We're egging it on by sitting down for a one-on-one podcast interview. Yeah, keep it off social media, but I'm going to go on a podcast. And then do a follow-up after I get your attorney's cease and desist.
And it has to stop because it's not funny. Like, this is my life.
It has to stop, but I get the final word. So if you go again, I'm going to go again, but this has to stop.
These are people I love. And look what's happened to my family when all these people have inserted themselves. This one's got a lawyer. That one's got a lawyer. This one's got a friend. This one's got an agent. We need to separate it all and just be a family again, or else we're just going to end up back where we started, and that's not what we want. So next time people just decide to go ahead and have fun on the internet, oh, it's so funny, these two. No, this is my blood. I'm going to choose her over you every single time.
That is not what you're choosing right now.
Sat silently, and I've allowed all this crap to happen.
You have not sat silently.
But I'm done, okay? Because I have the blood of my children and my wonderful life that I've created, and I'm allowed to defend it. I love my sister. I'm always going to love my sister. But anyone who's encouraging this kind of thing and encouraging this behavior, you are just as guilty as anyone who has been abusive or anything else of the comments they like to say. Like, what are you doing? All I want to do is love and support my sister and end this nonsense. This is ridiculous. Like, the world, just grow up.
How would you moving forward like to handle all of this with your sister?
Privately. I don't want to do this anymore. This is embarrassing. I want to do it privately, and I want to go be her sister as I've always been. That's it.
And to everyone that's like, well, you say you want to do it privately, but now you're like going on and you're exposing stuff like this. Like, can you explain to people your reasoning behind speaking up in this capacity?
Because if I don't, it's going to go on forever and ever and ever and ever. I just want to shut it down and guess what? I don't ever want to talk about this ever again. And I won't. Like, that's it. Here are the facts. If you want to believe them, great. If you don't, whatever. These are the facts. You can't work around that. And I don't want to talk about it anymore. That's the point. It's like, this is just me being pushed to the very end. And I don't want to keep doing this. So here, take it.
Okay. Thoughts? I just like, it's so hard to take any of what she said seriously because it's like, again, Britney needs to stop talking about me on social media. I'm going to go on a podcast. I feel dizzy. I have a headache. Eye rolling. Yeah, she's a joke. Not having to talk about the conservatorship is privileged. Yeah. And yet she wrote a book about it. Right. Like, I'm done. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Notable that the June 2021 court testimony from Britney is included in the book. I'd be interested. Did she ever say when she decided she was going to write a book? Because I'm guessing, my gut is telling me probably after June 2021, which means, hey, sister, you're in a ton of pain. Stop talking mean about me on social media, but I'm going to use your pain to profit and write a book at 30. I'm 37. I've been through some shit. I don't think I'll write a book yet. My memoir is coming. Give me another decade or so. Not to say that a 30-year-old can't write a book, but a 30-year-old that doesn't see the absolute asinine nature of the messages that she's sending to her sister saying, I'm so upset mom is inserting herself in this conservatorship. Also, you just need to talk to dad, and not saying that there's like, while dad has a restraining order against him because of his alcoholism and abuse towards your children, like, there's no logic, which leads me to believe that there's a lack of critical thinking. Aside from the fact that recent court documents show that her husband received money out of the conservatorship, it's interesting. The whole legal back and forth is kind of pointless because they'll never let Britney be deposed. Britney, I'm not aware of her deposition being set. Her father's not yet been deposed. What about the alleged affair? Yeah, that was floated yesterday. Didn't she sign papers? I will look. How did her husband get money from the conservatorship? Maintenance and repairs on properties. Family's fucked up. Yeah, you love my makeup and lashes. I appreciate you. Thank you. The best way to help her sister would be to stay out of the public. Right. Can't wait for Britney to write a book. Did she get paid for the podcast? Good question. I don't know. Likely what happens is it's promotional. She went on this podcast to sell a book. So yes. What do I think of her boyfriend or Britney's? $200,000 to be a janitor in 1 year. Will the unknown accounts ever come to light? What are these accounts? I don't know. I don't know if you're talking about this case though. Who is the interviewer? Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy. Why do you care? Why does anybody care? They're trying to save face and gaslight. Maybe. Is she a Lou Taylor fan? Is Alex Cooper a Lou Taylor fan? It's my understanding she follows her on Instagram. Britney deserves so much more. No disrespect to janitors, but let's get real here. The salary doesn't match up. Yeah, it didn't make any sense. And it wasn't to a person. It was to an entity. Do you think Alex is wrong for giving her a platform? No. I don't think Alex did a good job interviewing, though. Platforming her to question her about what she did is one thing. Platforming her and feeding into her ability to narrate the situation in a light most favorable to her is another. Though I don't think either understands that what they did is confirm what everybody believed to be true. Can charges be filed against her family? I do believe that there are alleged criminal acts. Why is no one questioning Lou Taylor? Lou Taylor's company is the subject of discovery requests and pending motions that will be set on the court's calendar, is my understanding. No accountability, no. Again, the theme is, I need to tell my truth. Jamie Lynn, I need to tell my truth. I need to say what I think, how I feel. How I feel. And I'm traumatized and upset and angered and hurt because of what Britney said, and I told her to stop talking. Britney, just do what Dad says and you'll get out of the conservatorship, which Britney made a point to discuss, I believe in July. They kept saying, if I just do this tour, then I'll be out of the conservatorship. If I just do what they ask, they'll let me see my kids. If I just. And I never got any of that. So also, she never got to pick her own attorney, not until 2021. Jamie Lynn is spinning her version before Britney does a sit-down interview. But I could have asked Jamie Lynn specific questions and gotten absolute truth and held her accountable and still made her look better than she made herself look in this interview. And again, Britney being told to obey. Yeah, again, I said this earlier, but it feels like the family has othered Britney. So if you're not familiar with that term, when you other somebody, it allows you to remove their humanity and treat them separately and differently from what you expect yourself to be treated, right? So it's easy to do this with people with mental illness in society, right? Well, they've got mental illness. People do this to the homeless people a lot. I think the term is unhoused, but like, oh, well, they're different than me. They've got problems, or, it's okay for me to have a home and them not, because I see myself differently than I see them. And I think in this situation, the Spears family has othered Britney and in order to allow them to accept their treatment of her and make them feel better about how they've treated her, they've othered her. Like, well, she's got issues. Jamie Lynn made the comment at the beginning of this part of the interview. The court found they know why she needed to be in the conservatorship to begin with. They found a reason. Jamie's lawyer in court yesterday made the comment that let's not forget the whole reason why this conservatorship, Jamie Spears' attorney made a request for Britney not to get all of her money when the conservatorship is wound up in 7 days. She's supposed to have her money within 7 days of yesterday's court appearance. Everything transferred to Britney's name. Jamie's lawyer said, but we need a reserve. If you're not going to grant our fee petition that the conservatorship pay for our fees, Jamie's personal lawyer fees for the conservatorship to defend himself against wrongdoing, if you're not going to allow this petition moving forward, then we need a reserve held back from Britney's money before it goes to her. Why? There's no reserve. It's Britney's money. She gets to spend it. Well, let's not forget why this whole thing was started to begin with. And the judge said, no. Let's not go there. We're not going to open up that door. No. Yeah, how did she expect Britney to move out of state for 6 months with no access to money or transport? Right. It's going from I'm attached to from one family member to another. I have no ability to be Britney. I have to be Jamie's sister, Jamie Lynn's sister, Jamie's daughter, Lynn's daughter. Does this violate the cease and desist? The cease and desist is not a legally binding document. A cease and desist says, if you do this, stop doing this because you're violating this rule and we're telling you to stop it, or we'll pursue legal action. Or we think you're going to do this, so don't do it. Here's what we're going to go after you for. Most of what they think the cease and desist was trying to do is stop her from telling false narratives. not using Britney's name. And he specifically said not using Britney and saying things that were false, where she was going to pursue legal action. So truth is an absolute defense. If she really sent those text messages and that's how she felt. So for instance, I could say, use the name Bobby. Bobby attacked me. That could be true or that could be false. Bobby could sue me for defamation because maybe he didn't attack me. I could say, well, I really felt bad because I felt like Bobby attacked me. I can feel like Bobby attacked me. You don't get to tell me how I feel. But one can be defamation and one could not. That's like a real baseline view. So if she's saying, I sent this text message and Britney didn't send me a text message for another 5 months and then she thanked me for a gift, that could be true. I think they're both victims, but one has Stockholm syndrome. Maybe. I need to jump off. I've got to get on a call. But you can screenshot an unsent text. Yeah, maybe. Honestly, if everything she said is true, she's in a worse position. Jamie Lynn, if everything she said in this interview is true, she is in a worse position in my eyes than she was before she gave the interview. That's how I feel. She looks worse today than she did 2 days ago before the interview came out. Period. To me. You're welcome, guys. I will try to give like a brief rundown that basically says that, but you don't have to watch it because you were here. Leave it for the people who didn't show up. All right. Love to you all. Have a great rest of your Thursday.